I need someone from staff to run down to education and tell Timothy and McCoy to get up here. We're going to pass over their bills. Um, if everyone could silence their cell phones. If you are interested in testifying, please use the sign-in sheet. Testimony is within the chair's discretion and is based on time constraints. Please do not present information already presented. No signs are permitted in the committee room. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams, Senator Douglas, Senator Higdon, Senator Hornback, Senator Howell, Senator McDaniel, Senator Neal, Senator Nemus, Senator Thayer, Senator Thomas, Chairman Schickel.
Present. We have a quorum and are duly constituted to conduct business. We're missing two bill sponsors. I hate to pass over their bills. Somebody needs to get to them. I believe they're down in education.
Bryce is gone.
Are there any introductions? I have a special friend, Ken Lewis, in the audience who I'd like to introduce. Thank you for being here, Ken. Any other introductions? Does anyone have any introductions? Very well. The committee will stand at ease for 5 minutes. The first bill we will hear will be House Bill 608. Is there anyone here to testify against House Bill 608? Please raise your hand. Okay, good. Make sure you're signed in. Is there anyone here to testify for House Bill 608? Please raise your hand. Very well. Thank you. Be ready. I want to apologize to the committee for the delay. We normally don't do this, as you know, but we're in our last week of session, and we are the bill sponsors are testifying on another very important bill to myself. Here he is. Welcome and have a seat. Get your glass of water. And I know you just came from another committee. Get your glass of water. Introduce yourself for the record. And proceed with your testimony as soon as you get yourself gathered.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee. I apologize about my tardiness. We had a pretty contentious charter school vote going on in the education committee that I'm running down here from. Still out of breath from it.
You don't say.
Mr. Chairman and committee, thank you for allowing me to bring forward this important piece of legislation today. Back during the interim, the Joint Committee for L&O met to discuss gray machines that have infiltrated every county in the Commonwealth. It was the result of that meeting that provided the genesis for this bill. Before we get into specifics, I would like to allow my guest an opportunity to introduce herself.
Good morning. I'm Mary Harville, President and CEO of the Kentucky Lottery.
I would like to explain what the bill does briefly and then allow my guest the opportunity to explain why the bill is necessary. In summary, the bill does three things. It bans, prohibits all gambling devices that fall out of the purview of KRS statutes 154A, 230, and 238. Those of you who don't have KRS statute memorized, that's charitable gaming, lottery, and horse racing. It authorized the Kentucky State Police to establish a task force dedicated to removing gambling devices not authorized by law. And third, it directs the Justice and Public Safety Cabinet to promulgate regulations regarding the task force. Ma'am, would you like to explain why we brought this forward?
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. The Kentucky Lottery supports House Bill 608 because there is so much at stake for us here. And by us, I don't mean just the Kentucky Lottery. I mean the Kentucky Lottery and the Commonwealth. We're one and the same. The lottery is not a for-profit private enterprise. The lottery was created for you, the General Assembly, to fund college scholarships for our Kentucky college students. And last fiscal year, we sent you $354 million for this purpose. Kentucky families depend on us to fund an extensive list of need-based and merit-based college scholarships, including the KEYS program. And to date, we've provided over $4 billion for scholarships. You should have recently received our annual letter, which sets out a couple of really important facts for you. This is a letter that not only sets out the amount that your college students have received in your jurisdiction, but also the universities that ultimately receive these funds. We've given the state record returns in 17 of the past 22 years. Your expectations of us are high, and they should be. We are on track to meet the state's expectations this fiscal year, but it will be an entirely different story next year if nothing is done to stop the proliferation of the unregulated gray machines. And maybe we could have waited until next year or maybe longer to let you know about these unregulated machines, but we believe we have an obligation to do it now, to let you know what we see is happening now and what we see is going to happen to your lottery proceeds and the other good causes that benefit from authorized forms of gaming if action is not taken. Since I was just here testifying in November, only 4 months ago, gray machines have increased 42% in lottery retail locations across the state, and now there are 1,602 machines in 436 retailers in 76 counties, and we know there are far more in other types of establishment. And just since this bill was in front of the House Licensing and Occupation Committee last week, we have counted 100 more machines. What exactly is the impact of all these machines on the lottery? It's early. I've always said so, but already it's significant. And it's because of where the machines are located. We face competition from all other forms of gambling, both legal and illegal. But these machines have landed right in lottery locations, convenience stores, gas stations. Gray machines target those same locations and others, and that's why unregulated gaming machines are a massive blow to lottery. And just to be clear, the gray machines are not HHR. HHR is found specifically in racing facilities, not convenience stores and gas stations. Let's look at the numbers. At the end of Q2, we took a look at statewide lottery sales. Stores with gray machines are lagging behind the others about 5.5%. And we looked at Laurel County in particular. The reason was it was number one in the state in terms of concentration of the machines. With 193 machines, that's one machine for every 316 folks in Laurel County. Year-to-date sales for FY22 compared to year-to-date sales for FY21, sales are flat in Laurel County. Do the same comparison for the entire state, sales are up 6.4%. So, estimated lost sales year-to-date in Laurel, over $400,000. Estimated lost sales annually, over $800,000. And if we apply these estimated lost annual sales to the state, using our population of 4.5 million, we stand to lose almost 60 million in sales annually if the machines proliferate like they have in Laurel County. If nothing is done to stop the gray machines, it's a green light for gray machines, and then what happens? We don't need a crystal ball. We can look to one state that's had experience, Pennsylvania. The numbers of machines have exploded there. Pace-O-Matic has said that in 2015 it had only 322 machines. 2019 it had 15,500 machines in Pennsylvania, and it has stated that it plans to have 40,000 machines in Pennsylvania by 2023, and they are only one of 9 manufacturers of these machines in Pennsylvania. In the entire U.S., in the last quarter, only 4 lotteries posted negative growth in scratch-off sales. Pennsylvania was one of them. Now, let's bring the focus back home, though. Our number one sales rep last year, his name is Mr. Michael Hayden, out of Owensboro. He is now dead last in our western region. In September, Michael had only 3 retailers with gray machines. In November, the Davis County attorney said he would not pursue legal action against these machines. And since then, the number of machines has skyrocketed. 38 retailers with 107 machines and more at non-lottery locations. At Michael's top Keno retailer, Keno sales were down 80% from last year, scratch-off sales down 27%. At one location, Michael's retailer is making $4,000 a month on the gray machines, and those sales are climbing. However, lottery sales have declined 36% since getting these machines. The retailer explained that he makes a much higher profit on the machines because he doesn't have to claim it on his taxes. He gets to keep approximately 40% of the gross profit. A similar story is playing out all across the state. We've had retailers say, move this lottery equipment to make room for the gray machines. And we've had our retailers tell us to take the lottery out completely. We have to have this room for gray machines. We've had them tell us, please don't make us choose between these machines and lottery because we have to choose the machines. And we've had them tell us, we don't really want these machines in our store, but we have to have them to compete with the guy down the street. Why is this happening? Because the machines obviously make a lot of money, and there are no rules to follow. Legal gaming cannot compete with that. But for now, we need to clear up a few things. We've been hearing some mighty tall tales floating around out there about what House Bill 608 is or isn't, what the lottery's planning and plotting to do and going to do, has done. And I'll just say that I've been coming down here and testifying in front of this body for about 18 years now, and I'll continue to do that. I'll continue to give you the best information, the best advice that we have to help you make decisions. We've heard from the gray machine manufacturers, tax and regulate us. But this is not the way to implement expanded gaming. First, stop the out-of-control proliferation of the gray machines, then carefully consider whether to tax and regulate. This is because, to be effective, regulation of expanded gaming requires tough decisions be made before implementation and not after. Like, where will the machines be located? Will we have them in age control environments, or will we have them everywhere? Will cash payout be allowed, as is currently the case? Who will ensure that the tight controls and continuous monitoring and enforcement is in place to ensure compliance and protection? Regulation can take at least a year to implement, and requires costly centralized systems, hiring and funding of an enforcement division, and other administrative staff. Attempting to tax and regulate many different machines and games already in operation everywhere robs you of your ability to develop a plan that puts public policy and
Mary?
the needs of the Commonwealth first.
You've been at this now about 15 minutes, so try to conclude.
Oh, yes, sir, of course. I would like to clear up one particular point. This point is especially important. HB 608 does not expand the authority of the lottery or any other legal gaming in any way. The lottery isn't going to do one thing differently because of 608. We operate within the parameters of 154A, and 608 does nothing to change our statute. 608 is very simple. It just says that gaming that is authorized by the General Assembly, which is lottery, pari-mutuel racing, and charitable, are legal. And if you're gambling and you're not one of these three, you are gambling illegally. This does away with the argument that if it's gray, it must be okay. And I'll just say in conclusion, it is absolutely up to this body to decide what kind of expanded gaming we have, but you have to know that if you don't take action, Kentucky families and Kentucky colleges will not be able to count on the same level of lottery-funded scholarships that they have come to expect.
Representative,
Mr. Chairman, I'll wrap up very briefly.
thank you.
I think it's worth noting that any established policy involving gaming in Kentucky has been vetted very thoroughly. And if you peruse 238, you'll see that we even give specific directions for peace officers entering facilities of gaming facilities. The lottery has the transparency involved, requiring that we require for it to be at the table with us. Certain industries like gaming, alcohol, tobacco that are highly regulated industries in the U.S. to ensure that these lucrative enterprises are conducted responsibly, transparently, with integrity, and while protecting the public. Mr. Chairman, we have gaming options in Kentucky that have gone by the rules, that have followed, that have come to this body, and these gray machines have not. We need to establish a starting point with that discussion. If that's something that the Commonwealth wants, we need to be the ones that lead the way with that structure.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your testimony. It's a little bit after quarter after. We have numerous questions, people that want questions. That we're going to do that for 15 minutes, questions and answers, and then we will move on to the other side of this issue. First is Senator Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for bringing this. My question is specifically on Section 2 of the bill, where you lay out that you need to establish a task force dedicated to the removal of any gambling device not authorized. Who will be a part of this task force, and does it preclude any conversation about how to regulate these at a future date or how to integrate them into the system at a future date? What exactly does that task force mean?
I'll start with the second part of your question, ma'am. The second part, no part of this bill talks about what things would look like moving forward if we're going to integrate them. The only purpose of this bill is to remove them. Okay, and we have walked this path. The Commonwealth has walked this path with gaming devices, with charitable gaming devices, where we have charitable gaming centers that, have operated some equipment that may not have fit within our guidelines or our viewpoint. So it would mimic those that we already have in place.
Just one comment real quick.
One follow-up.
I'm sure we've all, as members of this committee, have been contacted by our small bars and our small, restaurants that, are really reliant on these. But at the same time, you have to think about, did you go through the regular process that everybody else did? So this is a tough one, but I just wanted to get some insight into what that task force, what the vision for it was. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Hornback.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of questions. In reading the bill and everything, it doesn't say anything. Will this in any way regulate what goes on at county fairs, state fairs, carnivals, those type of things?
State fairs, county fairs, absolutely not. This is intended just to deal with the gaming options.
So it does not affect any of those
No,
games
sir.
they have at those carnivals and other events?
No, sir.
Just one other comment. Some of your newer machines look just like slot machines and stuff, too. Is that just a way to try to garner support rather than letting some of these others come in? I mean, you all are expanded to different types of games, to the internet and a lot of things all the time to garner more support.
Senator Hornback, we do not have any gaming machines. We have vending machines that vend tickets.
But some of them just look like gaming machines.
No, sir. We don't
I've
have
got
any
a
such
picture.
machines.
I've got-
And
And I
sir,
might just say, Mr. Chairman, that I've got pictures of machines look the same size and shape, and everything looks like, gaming machines.
We
Thank
we
you.
do have some gaming. We have vending machines, not gaming machines.
And we do currently have a statute, KRS 154A063. Lottery shall not operate, approve, and operate any casino or similar gambling gaming devices.
Sounds like a discussion between you. Senator Thayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Timoney, I appreciate you bringing the bill. I'm a strong supporter, as I noted during the interim committee when this bill was fully vetted and both sides were given an opportunity to discuss it. I think the important thing to note here is, and I'm going to repeat some of your testimony, Mary, charitable gaming, pari-mutuel wagering, and the lottery have all been duly passed, fully vetted, and are regulated. They were passed by the General Assembly, and they're regulated by various regulatory bodies that we spend a lot of money to make sure that they have the tools to properly regulate it. And they should be regulated. And by the way, the lottery not only is supported by the legislature, but it was put on the ballot by the legislature and then passed by the vote of the people in a constitutional amendment. All three serve higher purposes. Charitable gaming obviously serves the charities and raises money for the charities that are legally participating in those games. Pari-mutuel wagering supports our signature horse racing industry and is making a larger every year contribution to the general fund. And of course, Mary, you've made a great case for how the lottery supports education, which was the original purpose of the constitutional
Senator
amendment.
Thayer, do you have a question?
No, I'm just making my strong support for the bill, and I want to make a point that these gray machines came into Kentucky with either no legal opinion or a legal opinion paid for by an attorney hired by those promoting the games. And now they've gotten caught and they're saying, well, tax us and regulate us, and I'm not for rewarding that bad behavior.
Thank you for your question.
I get to make a statement as a member of the committee, Mr. Chairman.
Senator McDaniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Guys, in running through this, walk me over to page 2. What is something of value?
For the purpose of this bill, it would be monetary value.
Is there somewhere where we define that it couldn't actually be something like basketball tickets, T-shirts, stuffed animals, etc.? Yeah. Just we can pin that. Mary, when you guys started iLottery, did the General Assembly authorize that?
We were already authorized under our broad statute to commence internet sales, which we did in 2016. I had to look back at my.
But you say broadly, but specifically, when you transitioned to those types of gaming things, did you come back to the General Assembly for authorization, or you just felt like the statute covered it?
We did believe that the statute covered it.
I remember some controversy surrounding some of those things, particularly I can remember Arch Gleason sitting there and a lot of worry that the Kentucky Lottery had expanded gaming without the General Assembly coming in front of us here.
It's true that our board moved us to move ahead with internet sales and as Keno as well, both of which we believed were authorized under our current statute. That happened in 2012.
So the opinion of the board.
The board
is-
did direct us to move ahead, and we did do that. And you are correct. We immediately came before this body to begin testifying and answering any questions that anyone had. It was new at the time.
It was new, and I think we had to do some things for you, either acquiesce or do some things retroactively as well.
We did not ask for any legislative action. to be
So
taken.
why in paragraph B, page 2, gambling shall not include? If everything's already defined under statute already, Tell me, what new games do you anticipate as a result of getting this bill passed? What's the Kentucky Lottery going to add to its offerings?
Absolutely nothing. This bill
So-
will not enable us or allow us to do anything different than what we can already do under 154A.
So you'd support an amendment to remove that section since it's not going to change anything?
I think the intent of this bill, and again, I'm not the bill drafter, but I think the intent
I'm
of
just asking the lottery's opinion. Would you, since you're not going to change anything and this doesn't change statute, would the lottery support an amendment just to take it out if it's unnecessary?
I think it's in there to clarify that only 3 forms of gaming are allowed in this state. And if you're gaming and you're not one of those 3 forms, then you're illegally gaming. It removes the whole gray argument. So I'm not real sure exactly what you're asking.
I'm thinking that you guys already believe that you exist under statute, and so
Absolutely.
the point of the bill or that section becomes unnecessary. So I just have some concerns there. And then if I flip over to page 5, profiting from gambling activity, this deals like with the bar owner and stuff like that. I become concerned because you make some adjustments to paragraph 9. And I guess I'm directing this to Representative Timoney here. I become concerned that if you do get involved in, you have a game there, and let's say that you've got a pool table and people are, you got to put the little coins in to do it, and people are gambling on that. They bet each other stuff. I mean, not that anybody would ever bet somebody for something in a bar, but it could happen.
Theoretically.
Theoretically. I've heard rumors about certain ones in Savannah and Charleston. But nonetheless, and the owner of the establishment is receiving some kind of a rent, royalty, profit sharing from the fact that a coin-operated pool table is in his joint, all of a sudden I see them potentially being caught up under this as under the definition of profiting from gambling activity. I'd like you to talk to that.
Well, I do believe in that particular example, if someone was wagering over a pool game, that would not that wouldn't fall under any provision of this bill. So therefore, that would be considered illegal gambling. So they would not be caught up under that. A owner of a pool table where you would put your coins into play, you would not be held liable under that because that is not considered a gaming device. And I see where you're going with that, but I don't the legislative intent of this bill was not that at all. The legislative intent was just to carve out the provisions that we placed in it already.
So just briefly, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say
Briefly.
Representative Timoney is a man of goodwill. I don't think you bring this with malice. I hope those who are here on both sides will recognize that. We simply find ourselves on different sides of an issue on this one, but I don't think that there's a particular malice, and I certainly just wanted to acknowledge that in front of the room. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Okay, we've reached the end of our questions with this group. So timing's perfect. It's exact 28 after. So let's bring the opposition up and see what they have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
You're
Chairman
welcome.
and Committee.
And we will designate 15 minutes for your presentation, and keep in mind that's all the presenters together, 15 minutes, and then we'll go to questions. We have another important bill after this one, so welcome. You're no stranger to this committee. Introduce yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Bob Hellringer. I'm an attorney in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's my privilege and honor to represent the Prominent Technologies Company, owners of the Wildcat Skill Games that you may have seen and referred to in the press. I have with me Rajan Patel, who is the company director of marketing, and Steve O'Daniel, who's our compliance officer. We are here in strong opposition to House Bill 608. I'll try to keep this, I will keep it within the time allotted. But Mr. Chairman,
Yes, you
members of
will.
the committee, I've been here since 1977 in one capacity or another. I've worked on the Senate Republican staff right out of law school. Back then we had 8 senators and staff of 5. I then got elected to the House, served 23 years there. After unsuccessfully running for lieutenant governor, I became a lobbyist part-time. And in all those 45 years, my friends, I'm unfamiliar with any bill like this. This bill, by legislative fiat, is going to run a company out of Kentucky.